A driver loses control of her car. A guardrail may be the last piece of protection keeping that car from going off the highway.
But as crime and justice reporter Joy LaPola explains in tonight's cover story, the effectiveness of those guardrails and safety is in doubt.
Smart, driven, talented. That's how Steve Eimers describes his daughter Hannah. At 17, she was a second-year college student with interest in props and costumes. This summer, she wanted to work at a film studio. Last November, in Tennessee, she and a friend left a Halloween party for home. Hannah Eimers' Volvo swerved off the road, striking a guardrail. In an instant, Hannah was gone.
A piece of the guardrail designed to lessen the impact went through the car, hitting Hannah in the head. The end treatment is called the Lindsay X-Lite. It's designed to collapse, absorbing force, safely stopping a car.
I know a guardrail came into my daughter's vehicle, and that's not supposed to happen.
Steve Eimers blames Lindsay, the maker of the X-Lite guardrail end, for his daughter's death, and says what happened to Hannah could happen to any driver hitting the X-Lite.
They're playing Russian roulette with our lives. Every single person driving by here does not know they're passing what is essentially a loaded gun aimed at their head.
6 months after Hannah's crash and 2 other fatal accidents, Tennessee is removing the X-Lites, citing unclear installation instructions and new safety standards.
At certain locations at very high-speed impacts, we had some concerns about these types of terminals.
In data that the Maryland State Highway Administration initially sent us, SHA estimated more than 1,600 of the X-Lites lined Maryland roads.
So you don't know exactly how many are on the road, or you don't know exactly where they're located, or both?
What we don't know is a little bit of both.
Do you think the X-Lite is a safe in treatment to have on guardrails here in Maryland?
Safety is always our top priority. We're very much in the information gathering phase. I don't have enough information to make that conclusion yet.
So how many accidents have you been told are being reviewed at this point involving the X-Lite?
I'm not aware of any that we've been told that involve exactly the X-Lite.
Concerns are prompting change in other states. In Missouri, 2 people died after hitting the X-Lite. It's now joining Tennessee in removing the guardrail end. Ohio and Virginia say they will no longer install it. Lindsay declined an on-camera interview, but in a statement said the equipment's inability to singly prevent every tragedy does not indicate a flaw or defect. The X-Lite was tested at 62 miles an hour, a test standard set by the Federal Highway Administration. We found an X-Lite installed on Interstate 83, where the speed limit is 65 miles an hour. The agency defends the test speed of 62 because most crashes into fixed objects happen at reduced speeds.
You know, most people travel slightly above the speed limit.
Attorney David Ellen represents car crash victims.
It's not just the manufacturing, it's also the communication, the instructions, and how these things are put together. So everything has to work in harmony to ensure public safety.
The lab that tested the X-Lite is owned by the same company that makes it, Lindsay. Federal Highways knew that, reviewed the test results, and found the X-Lite design to be acceptable.
If they don't work and people are being killed, I really could care less what Federal Highway is saying.
An SHA traffic engineer for 37 years, Gene Simmers says Maryland relies too much on Federal Highway's test review.
There really isn't testing procedures for a state highway. There's not a test deck somewhere where you see clips of cars going into the end of treatment.
Hannah's father wants Lindsay to stop selling the X-Lite.
I don't understand why they would risk their company for this device.
A device you and tens of thousands of other Maryland drivers may pass every day. Joy LaPola, Fox 45 News.
Well, I think a lot of us are going to be paying closer attention now to the end of those guardrails.
We absolutely are. There are many guardrail ends that look similar to the X-Lite. So we wanted to point out some specific traits of the X-Lite so you'll know.
Right, so you can see the X-Lite has a rectangular face and the guardrail is smooth with no brackets around it.
Right.
And that is one of the most noticeable differences.
And if you take a look at the bottom here, see these cables right there? The cables are parallel to the ground in the next section of the guardrail angle up. See those right there?
Well, you can see Joy's entire interview with the SHA by going to our website and clicking on Raw News.